I'm Hazel, and today we are taking a look at the new Dragonflight UI and discussing whether or not various elements of it are going to be good enough to replace, well, my add-ons. You're going to have to make a judgment call for yourself when it comes to your add-ons, but we'll look at the different categories that have gotten updates, what's changing, and what it looks like so far. Keep in mind, this is from a pretty early alpha build, and it is a work in progress. Not all of the UI elements are done yet, so some of this is still kind of TBD. First of all, let's take a look at bags, and the first thing that I want to highlight for you is actually not in the bag tab at all. If we go into settings and then controls over here in gameplay, we have this option here to combine your bags into a single bag window. This is something lots of people have already used an add-on like Bagnon for, Addy bags, that kind of thing. You now no longer need an add-on for that functionality, so here are regular bags, not that different from normal. We do have auto-assign options. There are more options than we've seen in the past. We now have options for junk and quest items. But with this option enabled, you are now going to have one magnificent, massive bag. So your auto cleanup will still work. It will sort things into their respective areas of the massive bag. But if that is something that you really wanted an add-on for, that is something that Dragonflight will now do for you. So I have personally never used the mega bag. I've been a holdout and been using default bags for ages, so this actually doesn't need to replace an add-on for me. But now that I have the mono bag as a default option, I might actually use it. We'll see. The search and sort still works as well as it ever has, so I'm pretty happy with this. The other feature that I want to draw your attention to is down here. Is that a 5th bag slot? Sort of. So if I try to drag one of my bags over to it, it's going to yell at me and say that only Regent bags can be placed in the Regent bag slot. So you're going to need a special kind of container for that bag. It is a pretty safe bet that a Regent bag is going to be able to contain the same sorts of things that your Regent bank will be. We've had profession bags in the past, herbalism bags, mining bags, stuff like that. I'm hopeful that there are going to be new ones that can accommodate multiple types of profession goods, because those ones were pretty limited, and that should do a pretty good job of giving you extra bag space for your profession stuff so that it doesn't have to sit and clog up your normal bags. Although I'm sure that once all of those slots are on the screen, that your combined backpack is going to be very, very big. Actually, now that I think about it, there is a lot of padding in between icons here. That is one thing that a bag add-on could probably do a good job of, is helping you scale this. All right, moving on to bars. You might look at this and say, Hazel, what happened to your bars? They're asymmetrical, they're weird. And the answer is I changed them to be like this because it lets you do that now. Right in the regular game menu, before you even get anywhere into key bindings or anything, you have this edit mode button. This is clearly a work in progress, but what this lets you do is select each of your bars individually and get this action bar menu. You can choose if you want the bar to be vertical or horizontal. You can choose if you want it to have rows, columns, how many icons, the padding as well. You can turn that down if you like in terms of action bars, so maybe they'll let us do that for bags. You can hide the Blizzard art bar, or you can have it on like a little clumpy bar like this if you want. It's beautiful. This is exactly what I used Bartender for. This, and then quick keybind mode is something that's been in the game for a while, but having it right here with your action bar edit options means that you can very easily just kind of pick where you want your bar, what shape do you want it, where do you want it to go, what buttons do you want to do what. I can turn this there, make sure I don't forget where it is. You can make it character specific, or you can just save this profile, use it for all your characters, but this is exactly what I use Bartender for, and this totally replaces Bartender for me. I'm really happy. You can use up to 5 action bars in this way, which should give you all kinds of buttons to keybind however you choose, and you can now move them wherever you like. No moving yet for the experience bar, but I'm assuming, like the other elements, that's coming later on in the UI update process. So let's talk about a couple things that are not in yet that I have high hopes for. First area would be nameplates, so the little name bar that you see over an enemy out in the world. This, to what I can understand, isn't really changed. It's sort of the same text, it's the same color. My biggest complaint of this, having thought about it, is that the color of the text matches the color of the bar, which can really impact readability, especially here. Let me go find something to fight. This is not very readable, and mind you, this hasn't really been updated yet. This looks exactly the same as it does in default UI on Live, so I'm not complaining about the Dragonflight version. I'm just saying that I have high hopes that when they do get a Dragonflight version of this into the game, that it looks nicer than this. White text would be a great start. That would make it instantly more readable. They also, I believe, need a better job of threat plates. There is an option, and there has been for a while now, this isn't new, but there's an option in your names to have you flash on aggro loss. If you're the tank, the enemy's nameplate will flash when you lose aggro on it. But add-ons like KUI nameplates and other nameplate add-ons do a great thing for tanks where they just change the color of the ones that you need to go get back, and that's just way, way, way better. This is playable, don't get me wrong. I can play like this, holy smokes, that's not playable, those are stuck. This is playable, don't get me wrong, I can do dungeons like this, I can raid like this, it is usable for leveling, but it is not comfy, and I feel like nameplates are the biggest thing that goes towards making a UI feel comfy and feel like you're getting the information you need from it. So when it feels not very readable like this, that's a big problem. So I have high hopes that they make the new nameplates better, because I would love to use default. Anytime I can replace an add-on, I'm happy to do so, just to make my experience a little less chaotic after every single patch. But this isn't going to cut it, so hopefully they've got something better. Unit frames up here, also not changed yet in this particular build of Alpha, but we do know for sure there's a change coming because of this screenshot. This was something released earlier when they first announced Dragonflight. The version in the screenshot is pretty and clean, and that's pretty much the big complaint I have with the regular unit frame, which is what we have here. This gets the information across. You can go ahead and customize your status text the same way you've always been able to in your options menu. You'll notice the menus look a little different, but you can find the stuff you're looking for if you dig for a while. I'm excited for the new one. I hope that it hits a future alpha build so that we can check it out and I can decide if I'm ready to ditch shattered unit frames. It looks promising, but I won't be able to tell until we've had it available in a playable alpha client. Moving on to the cast bar, something that is in an alpha. Look at this thing. Don't mind where it is. It currently seems to anchor to your action bar, and I went and was a rebel and moved my action bar, so don't worry about that. But your cast bar is pretty now. It is pretty, but is it going to replace your cast bar add-on? I am a Gnosis user on live servers. I like that it is nice and big. And there's nothing to say this one won't be scalable, but I like that Gnosis is big. I like that it shows me an exact number for how many seconds and how many fractions of a second it's going to take to cast a spell. I like that it shows me things like ticks in a channeled cast, and this new bar isn't really doing me any of that. I can't see my cast latency, I can't see the cast time in seconds, I just see admittedly very pretty yellow bar. It does a great job of showing charge spells, which is something that of course it's going to need to do for Evoker, but I think add-ons will be able to catch up to that just fine. So as it is, I think that this new cast bar, especially once I'm able to scale it and move it independently, is definitely good enough for my alts, good enough for casual play, but for any character that I'm going to be playing more seriously in raids or PvP, I don't think this is going to cut it just because as pretty as it is, it's a little bit light in information, and I can't find any way to add it. Even if there was just like a cast time number, I would be happy with that, but I can't find one, which isn't to say it doesn't exist, but I haven't been able to see it, and I have been digging through menus. And then for the map, you'll notice that the Minimap is it's like naked. It's completely blank. I'm sure you're still gonna have, I'm sure you're gonna still have add-ons that wanna put buttons on it, but as it stands, this is a very, very, very clean Minimap. You have your world map button above it, and the world map looks the same as it always kind of has, but your Minimap, you've got your little clock, it's up here, it's above the map now by default, and then there's a calendar button that's teeny, teeny, tiny, itty bitty. The calendar interface appears to still be the same, or at least if it's getting a change, it hasn't gotten one yet, but the overall, the HUD display in your main view is, this is the most futuristic part of it. I keep thinking that I've broken something and I've removed the rest of the UI, but I think that's just how clean it is. I'm a big fan of this. I'm sure I'm probably going to continue to use an add-on to at the very least put my coordinates underneath it, just because coordinates are something that gets used a lot when you're looking for anything in this game, you know, that another player has told you how to find. But for everyday use, I wasn't really using a Minimap add-on before now. I suppose I had Farm HUD and I would still probably use that. But I think this looks really good. It's kind of a shock to get used to. I didn't immediately love it, but after having played with it for some time, I like that it gets out of your way. That's what we really want our UI to do at the end of the day, after all. We want the information that we're specifically looking for, and then we want everything else to just get out of the way. Which makes me think maybe I should hide this bar that I'm not using yet. That'd be a good idea. Your key binding menu I want to highlight has also been changed here. They've made this a lot easier to navigate. You've got automatically collapsed menus that you can then expand by individual categories, so that's pretty nice. I want to go ahead and I want to go and turn off one of my action bars just for the moment because I'm not currently using it. So we could go into interface, we can go into action bars, we can figure out exactly what that one is. Huh. Well, I've moved them, and it appears that this one and it has its fate tethered to the other one because that's action bar 1 and not 2. I could switch that by flipping those, but that is a little bit odd that they don't let you toggle them independently. What else can I find that's broken before I finish this video? That's a dangerous path to tread down, isn't it? Anyways, that is an early look at the new user interface. Let me know what you think. Appreciate you. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day.